All right, I gave you the map 2 days ago so you could take pictures of it, zoom in, and check out where all the red dots were sacred geometry cities, where they had a sacred geometry city layout, and the green dots were sacred geometry cities with star forts that were in close proximity. I also did a chart that I posted as well with a description of the plot matrix of figuring out where all these geometric cities and star forts were. So if you take a look at this map now, you'll see how important this is. But this also, when we talk about Atlantis, this is all Atlantis. You know, all of this is Atlantis construction, all these dots. And now we're about to prove everything. So get ready, fasten your seatbelt. This video will be called Star Forts, Atlantis, and the Arc of Resonance. Why are star forts always built on water? Rivers, oceans, canals? Because they're not forts at all. They're resonance machines left from Atlantis. They will never tell you this in the textbooks, because if they did, the whole illusion would collapse. The world we walk upon is not what we've been told. The ruins, the cities, the so-called forts, scattered across continents, they are not random. They are not the crude defenses of colonials with muskets. They are the harmonic machines, star geometry, Atlantean architecture. It began for me with a strange question. Why is Washington, D.C. laid out as a pentagram? Filled with Masonic sigils carved into the very streets. Was it a capital or was it a ritual grid? A sacrifice mapped in stone. That question cracked the door. And once the door was cracked, geometry spilled through. Because when you really look, you see that Washington is not unique. Across the earth, there are 5,400 geometric cities. And of these, 2,200 are perfect star forts. Citadels of sacred geometry, always tied to water. The official story calls them defenses, but that's nonsense. No canon ever required geometry this precise. These are nodes, tuning forks, capacitors of resonance. And if you study the bones of our cities, the true shouts, look at old films, old photographs of New York, Boston, Chicago, San Francisco. Canals once flowed where pavement now lies. Boats drifted down streets that have since been buried under asphalt. All the cities used to look like Venice, all around the United States. Almost every sacred geometry city had these waterways. Why? Because water is not decoration. Water is a conductor, a living current, a medium of resonance. The cities themselves were instruments, designed to sing with water, stone, and air. And always the obelisks. The shaft of Osiris, every capital, every Vatican, every empire seat, the obelisk as the phallus, the dome as the womb, the city grid itself as the diagram of the human body. This was not civic art. It was architectural sex magic. Let me say that again. This was not civic art. I'm talking about the layout of the cities them frickin' selves. This was not civic art. It was architectural sex magic. Because sex is creation itself, polarity, union, manifestation. The Atlanteans harnessed this force not behind closed doors, but through the whole cities. Through the whole cities. Obelisks and dome eternally locked in stone union, charging the field, the Vatican, Washington, London. Each one a ritual body humming with Osiris and Isis, masculine and feminine, locked into polarity, generating the most powerful magic of dominion. This is the secret of empire. Cities as ritual chambers, stone as spellwork, geometry as sorcery. But who built this? Who carved the grid into this world? Not the Mississippian mound builders, though they were masterful in their own way, raising serpent mounds and earthworks of memory. Their genius was in mound and sky, not in harmonic star cities. The Trabuco and other tribes were custodians, not architects of the resonance. This is how I ruled them out. And the Mississippian mound builders actually kind of ruled like Rome, and they had territory everywhere, all over, because I was trying to see if there was a sacrificial area for Washington, D.C. as well. I discovered some archaeological finds that were within like 30 miles of it, but it wasn't significant, which is why I stuck with the Jekyll Island on the previous video. So who built this? Who first carved it into the grid? And I said the Trabuco, the other tribes were custodians, not the architects of residence. This is how I ruled them out. The only answer left is Atlantis. The Atlanteans were not myth. They were the last engineers of the Edenic Codex, the keepers of the harmonic law. They understood that the earth is an instrument, and they built it with stone and water to hold resonance. Their star forts were not forts. They were arc bubbles, fields of coherence. Here is the secret. Why does the human body decay? Because it falls out of alignment, losing resonance with its original harmonic blueprint. Entropy is dissonance. But when matter is held in perfect balance by geometry, by piezoelectric stone, by flowing water, it resists entropy. It does not decay. It sustains coherence inside an arc bubble. This is the trinity of preservation. This is the trinity of preservation: geometry, water, and material, star design, canals to conduct the charge, limestone, quartz, and crystalline stone to amplify it. Together, they create an arc. The same principle as my healing arc, built on 12 quartz stones with one in the center as the tree of life. The fort or pyramid itself becomes the medium, projecting the arc bubble around it, holding everything within a field of resonance. And I did this little visualization here for you. So both the star forts, pyramids, are made out of piezoelectric materials, and with the water flow, and when you have all three of the preservation together, it creates this arc bubble that holds the harmonic blueprint in line, and it doesn't essentially cause it to decay or have entropy. Whereas you look at anywhere else in the world where a star fort or a pyramid no longer has water flowing through it, and you'll see that they are decaying or no longer exist. That's why the pyramids stood ageless until their water systems were severed. Once the Nile no longer flooded into them, once the water was cut away, they began to decay. Their arc bubble collapsed. The same with the star forts. As long as the geometry, the canals, and the stone remained in harmony, they resisted time. Remove the water, cut the circuit, and entropy begins. All right, moving on to video number 2. Have a great night. Namaste.